Hello and welcome to Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. I am Colred. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I am going to cover the 5 special artifact sets that are currently and only temporarily available in the game. Now, the new Forge Pass season has just launched. You can see we're in Forge Pass Season 13, and the current season has Defiant gear. So everybody's going to have access to at least some Defiant Forge materials. So we're going to talk about this set, how valuable it is, what kind of pieces you're looking for, and what kind of champions you want to put Defiant sets onto. Outside of the Forge Pass, we are in Rotation 2 of Doom Tower, and so there are 4 sets there that are temporarily available. They will come back around, obviously, just like the Forge Pass will come back around, but it helps to review these sets to know which of the 4 Doom Tower bosses you may want to farm currently, depending on where your account is and what kind of gear you need. So if you're interested in improving your gear, I think this is going to be a good video for you. I hope you're ready. Let's get started. Just some quick channel business first. I am in the midst of a subscriber push. I'm hoping to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. So if you enjoy this video or any of my videos, please make sure to always hit the like button. That is the single best thing you can do to support the channel. In addition, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel and consider joining our Discord community. Thanks so much for the help. I appreciate the support. Okay, before we get into the 5 artifact sets, I want to refresh your memory on my 5-tier ranking system for gear. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video on gear, I actually reviewed every single gear set in the game for a video just about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago. So we'll try to put that up here for you in case you want a more comprehensive gear video. This video is going to focus on just these 5 sets in a little more depth, but I'm going to use the same ranking system or quality ranking system that I used in that video. So there are 5 categories of gear, and I'm going to use the same terminology throughout the videos, so you just should know what those categories are. The lowest type of gear I call trash. Trash is basically unusable gear. Sometimes it's usable only as a filler piece until you get another piece. Above that is okay gear. Okay gear is usable because it has some benefit, not just in the set that it's in, but in the gear piece itself. But it's definitely not a good piece. It's better than trash, but it's something that you also probably want to replace when you can. Above that is a good piece. So good is the 3rd tier or 3rd category. Good pieces have either the right main stat or several very good substats. They also tend to be of a slightly higher quality. So, you're talking about rare pieces, epic pieces, or legendary pieces in order to qualify for a good piece. Above that is excellent pieces. That's the 4th tier. Excellent pieces have good main stats, good substats, good rarities. They probably don't roll perfectly. They have good substats, but they don't get all of the rolls into the exact substats they need. So excellent pieces are highly valuable pieces that are going to be on some of your strongest champions. But if you were going to construct the perfect piece in your mind, these would fall just a little bit short. And then the highest category, the 5th tier, is perfect pieces. Perfect pieces roll into the substats you need. They're in the set you need. They're of the rarity that you need, and they roll really well. So I'm going to use those 5 terms: trash, okay, good, excellent, and perfect. Okay, so the first Doom Tower set we have available from this rotation, which I believe is Rotation 2, is the Affinity Breaker set. Now, Affinity Breaker Forge materials drop from the Nether Spider, who you can see is part of the Doom Tower currently for another 2 weeks and 5 days. Now, I actually think the Affinity Breaker set is the weakest set that's going to be on this list. It's almost unusable. There are very few times you want to be able to use it. As you can see, I've collected materials over the years just by clearing out Doom Tower and working my way through the bosses. So I've never farmed Nether Spiders specifically because Affinity Breaker is not a very good set. The reason it's not a good set is because it doesn't provide enough damage to be a good damage set, and it doesn't provide the right benefits to be a good support set. So 30% crit damage is less than you would get out of 4 pieces of crit damage gear. So here you're getting 30% out of 4 pieces instead of 40% out of 4 pieces. So this is lowering your damage, and crit damage sets are sort of an intermediate tier of damage dealing sets anyway. You'd prefer a set that ignores defense like Savage. Now, in addition to this damage buff, you do get 50% chance to change a weak hit to a critical hit. So it's going to eliminate 50% of your weak hits, which is actually a fairly nice bonus. Obviously, it doesn't help Void Affinity Champions because Void Affinity Champions don't weak hit. But typically, you would want to get rid of weak hits on debuffers because debuffers can't drop their debuffs if they weak hit. So you have a 35% chance of weak hitting. This reduces it to 17.5% chance. So I was trying to think of a good champion for this set, and I came up with a few. I don't think this is ever going to be the best set on these champions, but you could get some value if, like me, you just have a bunch of materials sitting around and you want to forge some pieces, and you get at least excellent pieces or better. I wouldn't even keep good pieces in the Affinity Breaker set. So if you're getting excellent pieces or perfect pieces, you can consider building a few sets of these for particular champions like the ones we're about to discuss. Okay, so here is Armiger, arguably the best uncommon in the game. And Armiger is valuable because of this A1. This A1 decreases the turn meter of the target by 30% if the attack is critical. So you are likely to build Armiger with a 100% crit rate, and that means that every hit that he lands could benefit from additional crit damage. So the first half of the Affinity Breaker set makes sense, plus 30% crit damage. In addition, Armiger is primarily valuable for this A1. So if he weak hits, he will not decrease the turn meter of his target. So the crit damage will play, the reduction in weak hits will play. So potentially you could put an Affinity Breaker set on Armiger. Likewise, we have Allure, who basically has the same setup as Armiger. Her A1 decreases turn meter on critical hits, and she is an affinity-based champion. So again, crit damage will play because you're going to have a 100% crit rate on the champion, and then reducing the weak hits means you're going to land more turn meter decrease. Now, for both of these champions, you're probably better off with sets like Perception Set because you need accuracy, you need speed, and you're probably going to build these champions more for tankiness and survivability than for crit rate and crit damage. I think Armiger is the more likely of the two you're going to build for damage because he's a defensive-based champion, so you can make him tanky and have him hit hard at the same time. But either way, these are the few champions who might get some limited benefit from the Affinity Breaker set, which, like I said, is a very poor set overall. All right, so I definitely would not farm the Nether Spider for Affinity Breaker pieces unless you had a very specific need for an Affinity Breaker set. You can imagine something that I can't imagine, and you think it would be very helpful for a particular champion. So then maybe you want to go ahead and farm the Nether Spider for a rotation or two until you get the perfect Affinity Breaker set, and then you could probably leave this alone because you won't need any more. All right, the second set here is the Fatal set. You can see it provides 15% attack and then 5% crit rate bonus. So this is basically an offense set with 5% additional crit rate. The forged materials come from magma cores, so this is the magma dragon who drops these. And this is typically one of those easily farmable materials from early Doom Tower. So if you are in an early game account, you may already be collecting fatal materials, maybe just the rares here. But that's okay because this is a usable set in the early game. In the mid game and late game, this set has almost no value, just like the offense set has almost no value. Unfortunately for this set, this is not a valuable set for a defensive-based damage dealer or an HP-based damage dealer, because even though that bonus crit rate might be nice, you're losing value on the attack percentage. So this really only works for an attack-based damage dealer, but you might use one set just to help get to that 100% crit rate or whatever crit rate threshold you need, like 70% or 85% for that particular champion. It's a good filler set early in the game. You may get a lot of this material if you can only farm the first couple of bosses of Doom Tower. So if you have some magma cores sitting around, go ahead and use them up. But again, I would probably only keep good or better pieces in the early game. By the mid game, I would only be holding on to excellent or perfect pieces. And by end game, I might hold on to perfect pieces, but I might also just throw all of this gear away. More usable than Affinity Breaker set in terms of the number of champions you can put it on. I would say this could go on your starter champion. It could go on your arena nuker if it's attack-based, or on a PvE nuker who's attack-based. But in general, not a very good set. Okay, now the third set we have available is the Bloodthirst set. Now this gives a bonus of 12% crit rate, and it also heals by 30% of the damage dealt. So this is a straight upgrade to the Lifesteal set. Lifesteal gives you 30% of the damage dealt as healing. So does Bloodthirst, but you get that additional 12% crit rate. Now, this is actually a fairly good set. I would probably say it's like a B tier set because Lifesteal isn't a set you use a lot of in the end game. But sometimes on some champions, you will continue to use Lifesteal for a long time because the composition around them doesn't provide a lot of sustain and support, and they might be a little bit squishy, so you need the lifesteal to keep them going. However, in the early game and mid game, this can be an incredibly powerful set because this can be a great upgrade to your lifesteal set. So you could put this on your starter champion. You could put this on your clan boss damage dealer, assuming they're a direct damage dealer because you don't get any lifesteal from poisons or HP burns. You could put this on basically any PvE nuker who needs to stay alive. This is going to be valuable for you in faction crypts. It's going to be good for you in Doom Tower and wave content. It's going to be good for you in dungeons. By swapping out a lifesteal set and getting this additional 12% crit rate, you're going to be able to reach your 100% crit rate threshold more easily. And that might also allow you to get out of a crit rate gauntlet and into a crit damage gauntlet. And that's going to boost the damage of your nukers. On my Noob versus Pro account, I'm definitely looking into this gear. I'm probably not going to have a ton of it, but I am going to try to put together at least one set of Bloodthirst, maybe even get it onto my starter champion, if I can find some good crit damage gauntlets and still get to my 100% crit rate. One champion you may want to think about this on if you're in the early game or mid game is your Cold Heart. It's really important to get Cold Heart to that 70% crit rate for her Heartseeker. This is going to make it a lot easier. She's also relatively squishy and hard to keep alive, and so Bloodthirst can work until you get later into the game and you can put a team around her that's going to help her stay alive. So if you've got an early or mid-game Cold Heart, definitely consider Bloodthirst for that champion. The Dragon Bones come from the Magma Dragon, who is the boss of this current rotation. He's not overly difficult to farm, so this could be a good farming boss for you if you need the Bloodthirst set. Okay, the final Doom Tower set here is Guardian, and this is the best set in this rotation. Guardian sets require Griffin Feathers, which can be farmed from the Griffin boss. The Guardian set provides two really nice bonuses. The first one is that the wearer absorbs 10% of all damage dealt to ally champions. This acts like a small ally protect. Ally protect is typically 50%, but this is a 10% ally protect. The second benefit is that the Guardian set heals you by 10% every turn. Now, this is about 2/3 as valuable as a regeneration set, which heals you by 15% every turn. Now, Guardian sets best go on tanks that aren't already ally protectors. If you have an ally protector, you don't need this additional 10% of damage sharing, and the 10% heals aren't as good as the 15% you could get from a regeneration set. So you'd probably either want a more defensive set or a more healing set, more sustaining set on your ally protector. But if you don't have an ally protector and you have another champion who potentially can be a tank and provides an increased defense or a shield or a strengthen buff, maybe even a provoke, this could potentially allow that champion to share some of the damage that goes out to the rest of your team. Plus, it sustains that champion, which is going to synergize well with their tankiness. You could also put this on more than one champion on the same team. And another champion might be a really tanky style support champion. So not necessarily a tank, but a support champion with a high HP pool, perhaps. So I'm going to give you an example of each of those champions that you might have. So the first champion that I thought of that could really work well in a Guardian set is Hitatsu. I actually think he's a perfect champion for this kind of set. He is generally a tank. He has an aura of ally defense in all battles. You may use him in a clan boss team, and Guardian sets are a great way to provide extra survivability to your clan boss composition, especially if you don't have an ally protect. Now, Hitatsu provides a leech debuff, which is going to be additional sustain. He also has an increased defense and continuous heal buff on all allies for one turn. That's additional sustain and additional defense. And then here he has an AoE that has a decreased attack. So if you're looking for a champion on a killable clan boss composition who can really sustain your team, or you need somebody in wave content who's really going to sustain your team, Hitatsu can really provide that benefit, be that frontline tank for you. So if you put Hitatsu in a Guardian set, he's going to share that damage. He's got a nice HP pool. It's not huge. He's got really good defense. He's more of a defensive-based champion. So he's going to take less damage from the hits. He's got that built-in sustain. He's got that increased defense. So this is a perfect champion to get a Guardian set onto. Now, whether or not you have a tank and a Guardian set or not, if you want another kind of champion that you can put a Guardian set on, or you want a second champion to put a Guardian set on, you can always go with a support who has a really nice HP pool. So in this case, I'm just selecting Wither the Crowned, who is a champion I happen to own, but she would be perfect for a Guardian set. At 24,000 HP, she's got a nice big HP pool, so she's going to heal herself quite a bit. She's already difficult to kill, which is great. So the regeneration is going to enhance her ability to survive. But in addition, she also brings a bunch of other sustain mechanics that are going to make her fairly tanky. And so taking that damage from the rest of the team is just going to enhance her role as a sustain champion. On her A1, which is an AoE, she does have a chance to land a leech. She will also place some continuous heals on random allies. Her A2 has an increased defense buff. It also increases the duration of all continuous heals. Her A3 is a cleanse that also heals all champions. Again, by 30% of this champion's max HP, so that's a nice big HP pool to get a nice healthy heal from. And then finally, she places a continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP at the start of every turn. So she has heals, she has a cleanse, she has a leech, she has an increased defense, she has a high HP pool. Wither is a perfect champion for a Guardian set if you either don't have a tank or you want to put Guardian sets on 2 or maybe even 3 champions for a killable clan boss composition. Now, you can certainly use Guardian sets in content outside of clan boss. I can think of several places where you might like some. Any dungeon team composition could use somebody in Guardian just to spread that boss damage out amongst the team. It could be useful in Iron Twins. It could be useful in any Doom Tower content. It could even potentially be useful for a Go Second Arena team to just spread that damage out a little bit more and make sure that your squishies aren't getting nuked out. And that 10% heal is going to be really, on a tanky champion in Arena, it can be really hard to close somebody out with a Guardian set. Okay, now finally, let's come to the Defiant set here. This is the set that is currently available in the Forge Pass. Now, as you can see, the benefits here are 10% defense and 15% damage reduction from AoEs. So this is like a Stalwart set with extra defense on it. Okay, so here is the Stalwart set. And as you can see, it's a 4-piece set that reduces damage taken from enemy AoE attacks by 30%. Now here's the Defiant set. You can see I don't have many pieces. And this increases defense by 10%, plus reduces damage taken from enemy AoE attacks by 15%, and it's a 2-piece set. So if you made this a 4-piece set, you would get the same 30% damage reduction that Stalwart gives you, plus you would get 20% additional defense. In addition, because it is a 2-piece set, it's going to be much more flexible than the 4-piece set of Stalwart. Stalwart is already a valuable set. I think Defiant is absolutely god tier. Now, anybody that can get value out of defense would probably be a candidate for Defiant set, at least as a 2-piece set that you might add to, say, a regeneration set, or maybe some perception gear if it's a debuffer, or some resistance pieces if you have a cleanser or reviver. So it's a really flexible set that can be valuable on almost any champion that you want to keep alive. But one of the top uses for a Defiant set would be on your ally protector on your clan boss team, or an ally protector on a Hydra clan boss team. So here is Tyrant Ixlamore. Now, if you're not going with an unkillable clan boss team composition, you may be going for a killable clan boss composition. Now, that may be because you're early in the game and you don't have an unkillable champ yet, or it may be just that you have a really good composition that you want to try that is for an Infinity team, or at least a killable composition. In that case, you're going to try to get past 50 turns, the 50 turns that the unkillable composition would give you. Now, Tyrant Ixlamore can be a great champion for that kind of composition because his A3 gives a 50% ally protection buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. In addition, he gets increased defense on all allies for 2 turns as well. So increased defense with ally protection is really valuable. Ally protectors can be difficult to keep alive because when you get hit with an AoE, everybody takes damage simultaneously, and half of that damage gets passed on to your ally protection champion. Now, mitigations do reduce that, and there's also sort of the weird way it's coded for clan boss, where you kind of avoid the ramping up damage that the clan boss passive creates. But still, your ally protectors are always at risk of dying to AoEs. So stalwart gear is a great way to improve somebody like Tyrant Ixalamor's lifespan, and so therefore Defiant is even better. Now, potentially, if you don't have 6 pieces of Defiant gear, you could put 2 pieces of Defiant together with 4 pieces of Stalwart. You would get 45% reduction from AoE damage, plus the 10% defense. Or you can mix Defiant with other sets like Regeneration, like Stalwart, like Defense, Resistance, Fortitude, any other sets that are designed to keep your ally protector alive. Now, one of the things to consider about all of the sets that we mentioned today is that none of them provide speed or accuracy. So if you are looking for speed and accuracy sets, right now we're in a little bit of a lull. And your best bet is actually to just go farm Perception, again from the Forge, but you get these materials from your faction crypts. So the nice thing is, even when we're in a rotation like this, where the 5 special sets don't give us speed or accuracy, we always have Perception, we always have Resilience, we always have Deflection, and we always have Swift Parry available. So remember that these 4 special sets never go away. They are the permanent sets here as long as you have materials. Okay, so as we mentioned, probably the most valuable set to be farming in Doom Tower this rotation is going to be the Guardian set, which comes from the Griffin. The highest tier Griffin, or the highest floor Griffin, is at floor 90 in this rotation. In the next rotation, I think he comes back, he'll be Magic Affinity, and he'll be on floor 110. But get to the highest Griffin floor, you can probably want to farm him. If you can't farm him, consider farming the Magma Dragon for those Bloodthirst pieces. And remember to do your daily quests for the Forge Pass to make sure you get as much Defiant gear as you can, whether you're just on the free track or you've bought the Season's Pass. Okay, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below which one of these sets you plan on going for, or which one you found extremely valuable in the past. Also, if you can think of any uses, any champions or roles that I didn't think of where you use some of these sets, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for hanging out. I've been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.